What is up, all you beautiful people? Welcome to League Unlocked. Eric and Mark with you guys, and with MSI behind us, G2 and Europe, clearly the greatest region in the world right now. There's no arguing. They clean 3-0 through the finals, took down SKT. They are the best, and it's a pretty quick turnaround heading right into the summer split for all the major regions.
Oh yeah, June 1st, we're getting ready for it here in North America, getting set with another edition here of some power rankings coming your way.
And we got to start with North America because that's where the action is starting. That and the LPL get going very quickly this week, or in the next week or so. We're going to go 10-1 through all the teams in North America. Not as many roster changes as you would have expected probably in this offseason. And coming in at number 10 is Clutch Gaming, who, they've made not really a roster change, but it looks like Cody Sun will be starting over Piglet here in the summer split, and I think that is a well-warranted change.
Look, if this Clutch Gaming roster was going to have any success this summer, it had to be a change in the bottom lane for sure. When you had Piglet and Vulcan coming in, you'd expected that, yes, it would take a little bit of time here, obviously, for Vulcan to gel with the rest of the squad here on the LCS stage, and you needed Piglet's performance to be that bridge gap here, to be part of this, three Korean man roster here that you have here with Huni in the top side, Lyra in the jungle, and then you had Piglet. It never came to happen. You never saw it really deliver any type of positive sides here for Clutch Gaming. Meanwhile, Cody Sun, someone we know that is of the talent of an LCS level, has continued to be an excellent player in the academy scene and deserves this role here for the summer split.
Yeah, and I think this is not the same Huni we've seen in previous splits in the LCS. That's why Clutch is in at number 10. That synergy between him and Lyra never really developed in spring, and I'm not sure we see much change come here in the summer split. In at number 9, it is the one-man army of Crown on Optic. Yes, for now at least, they're still in the LCS. It sounds like in the near future they might be buying their way out of franchising, but this is a team that I thought we'd be seeing a lot of roster changes coming in, and we haven't really got anything. We still don't fully know. I want Dardoch more than Meteos, but this team goes as far as Crown can carry them.
Right. This is certainly a situation here when you look at the performance that Crown was able to deliver here in the spring split. Zabutin has talked about it here, that the number one priority for Crown wasn't about his actual performance on the Rift, was making sure he was happy, having a good time here in North America, and he absolutely was, and you saw the results of that on the Rift, where the performance did pick up, looked a lot closer to the Crown that you know and love from the past. And I think right now with Optic, you are right. That is the problem here. You're looking at him succeeding so many times, trying to do as much as he can personally for the team, but just them falling apart in other sides around a side lane push from Dokla going wrong, or the bottom lane collapsing, things like that have been some of the issues here that have really plagued Optic Gaming from finally making that push into the playoffs like they've been so close.
Yeah, they've been one game away a couple of splits in a row, and they had 7 wins last split, and pretty much all 7 of those games, you could say Crown had a fantastic performance, but fully expect Dokla to get matched up in a bad way in the top lane here in the summer split. Let's go on to number 8, and it's a playoff team from last year. They went on a run to close things out, getting wins against C9 and Liquid. We're talking Echo Fox. I feel like that was a bit of a flash of the pan. I don't expect this to be a playoff team again here in summer.
I think that is really the indication that we had seen for the most part about Echo Fox. When you are making a power rankings list, got to make some judgments here, and I think Echo Fox is one that falls on the short end of the stick here, getting put at number 8, given that, yes, they were a playoff team, but I think there are enough issues with the squad and the way that they perform against some of the top-level teams on a regular basis that this is where you have to be slotting them into this bottom half of the LCS.
Yeah, obviously Rush had some terrific carry performances, and then a lot of hair-pulling moments.
He had some not-so-good performances, too.
You had no idea what he was doing in that early game. Solo was actually one of the most consistent guys on this roster for them in 2019. I think Apollo and Hakuo, they had some moments, but they're still not as dominant a laning bot lane as we've seen in previous splits from them. I feel like they got on a solid run and got some wins. I don't see the consistency being there for them being a playoff team.
Right, when you do talk about the bottom side here for Echo Fox, you do have to be thinking to yourself, well, they did okay, But that's kind of the problem here, is because everyone else on this Echo Fox roster did their jobs or a little better than you expected. And when you looked at the bottom lane, I feel like that was a lot of times where teams would find an advantage through that 2v2 battle there and then find a way to end Echo Fox's chance for a victory.
And the final non-playoff team, it's been a rough go if you've been a CLG fan ever since franchising came in, because they haven't made the playoffs. In all those splits, 3 different splits, they have not made the playoffs. The 2-time LCS champions, they come in with a very different, not very different, they made one change coming into the split. Obviously, there were a lot of things you could have looked at for the squad, but Ruin comes in to replace Darshan, and I think that's going to be pretty much an immediate upgrade.
Right, this has to be for this CLG roster and for the success that they want to be having, what this brand needs to have for themselves here. You need to put some respect back on this Counter Logic Gaming name here. It's become quite a bit of a laughingstock in North America as far as in League of Legends in your performance and underachieving with your squad. This is the time to do it now, making an acquisition for someone like Ruin. Ruin is a strong player with a lot of potential that we had been seeing in the TCL. I'm excited to see him come over here and replace Darshan for CLG.
Yeah, he definitely outperformed Zeros in that MSI play-in stage against the Buffalo. He dominated in Turkey. Second in MVP voting right behind his teammate Kire. And even on Giants, he was the lone bright spot on a struggling team in the EU LCS. So I'm excited to see him in North America. Is that enough to get CLG over the hump? I mean, they were only 1 game away from making playoffs last split, but every year we seem to put CLG somewhat high in these rankings, and every year they disappoint. I feel like we're just going to be seeing them finish that short of the playoffs yet again here in the summer split, which means another year not seeing CLG at Worlds for 2019. Coming up after the break, we got the playoff hopefuls. We're moving on to the top 6 for this year's power rankings in the LCS. Hello, friends and foes alike. Welcome back to League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys, counting down the power rankings ahead of the summer split in the LCS. We're moving on to the top 6. These are the playoff hopefuls. And the biggest climb, if you're looking at how the spring season ended, is going to be in this next one. Of course, we're up to number 6, and you're saying, where's 100 Thieves? They finished dead last, 4-14. They had a terrible split. They made the biggest roster moves of all the teams, which isn't that much, really. Saligo was already on the team, and obviously the big signing is Amazing coming over from EU. He didn't play in the spring split. He was a coach, but I still feel like that's going to be an upgrade over Onda, and the main reason is he brings something this team desperately needs in aggressive shot calling, actually doing something in the game.
Someone being vocal in the communications here during the game is going to be a massive upgrade here for 100 Thieves and how things are going during the course of the game. And Amazing absolutely brings that in spades here for this team. This is something that they needed here. Of course, when you're looking at Amazing, didn't play in the spring split, but the last time we did see him, he was one of those top-level junglers in EU, able to make a difference on the map as well as be the shot caller, be someone making some of these decisions, being decisive for the squad here. And that is something that 100 Thieves desperately needed in the spring split and didn't get from Anda or anyone else on this roster. So Amazing coming in here definitely has a big role to play in being very vocal with this team in and out of game here, and I fully expect him to deliver on that role here for Nadeshot and 100 Thieves.
And obviously it's very difficult to compare personalities between players, but it's a very similar situation that Amazing's coming into to that of Shulka when he helped get them all the way to the spring or the summer finals in 2018. Obviously, Saligo not quite as experienced as Nukduck, a few less years on the pro scene, but you still have 2 incredible carries in Someday and Bang. The main question mark here is, well, obviously if they can get their synergy back as a team, but is how can Saligo stand up to some of these other LCS mid laners? His first couple of games weren't great, but that was a horrible situation to be put into.
Right, that's the hardest part here. You can't really get a good judgment here on the performances in those matches due to everything else collapsing with 100 Thieves at that time. But I think that the move here to stay with Saligo was the right choice for 100 Thieves here in this moment. Getting this player to stay with them here and try to continue to develop a North American talent in the mid lane does seem to be the right option here. Yes, it is a bit of a risk, obviously, not knowing the potential that he could be reaching here, but I still think that, hey, You got to be developing NA talent here at some point, and we got to give props to teams when they do it. 100 Thieves getting the thumbs up for doing an NA mid laner.
And I know they looked so bad at times in spring, most of the time, in fact, and climbing up 4 spots into a playoff position might seem a little crazy, but remember, the bottom 4 in NA last split were really underwhelming for the most part. 7 and 11, 8 and 10, you're making playoffs, so I don't think it's unthinkable that 100 Thieves can climb up to that top 6 spot. Getting a world spot, yeah, that's probably not going to happen, but they could make playoffs with this roster in the summer split. Let's move into the top 5, where it's more playoff teams from last split. And even though they took down the Guardians in a best of 5, we got FlyQuest coming in that 5th spot. Another team that did make a little bit of a roster shuffle. That's a big question mark for me. Wadid coming in, and we have JJ here, but it's likely going to be Wadid who's actually starting, and I'm not sure I fully agree with that. JJ and Wild Turtle were great for FlyQuest last split.
Right, that's the indication that we've been given by every type of public statement here from FlyQuest about the acquisition of Wadid, and Wadid talking about playing with Wild Turtle. This seems to be the move as far as a starting player that they're going to be making. And yes, if you were telling me this move right after G2 upsets RNG at last year's Worlds,
sure,
I'd be thinking this is a great move here, adding in Wadid some of that experience alongside Wild Turtle. Get me signed up for this FlyQuest squad here. But when you're talking about it now, after a split that he just had with the EU LCS, LEC, I think that right now, JJ does provide the best option immediately for FlyQuest. I can see in a week or two, possibly it may be developing some more synergy, but this was kind of the strength of FlyQuest, was that synergy that JJ did have with Wild Turtle, the way that he was able to kind of rein in the Wild Turtle sometimes, and then
just make him turtle.
Exactly, but then unleash the Wild Turtle at the right moments, right when the damage was needed for the squad. And I think that right now, you're looking at FlyQuest as, yes, a playoff-bound team, but I do expect it to be a little bit of a rough, shaky start here as they try to get adjusted with Wadid in the starting lineup.
Yeah, it just seems a little odd to break up a, pair that's been together for almost a full year now and performed pretty well. We know the top side of the map. I mean, you got Rookie of the Split in Viper, and Santorin was the best jungler in North America, and Pobelter had a resurgent season, so still a lot to be happy about if you are a FlyQuest fan heading in to the summer split. And keep in mind, they got as many championship points as Cloud9 heading in that 3-4 area. So, a shot at Worlds still very much on the cards for them. On to the top 4. It's actually the team that FlyQuest beat in their playoff run in that 5th game, but I feel like we were just beginning to see the potential of this Golden Guardians roster. Specifically, those solo lanes in Haunter and Froggen, I think, are enough to take this team into the top 4.
I think that's the big thing when you look at the Golden Guardians. How are they going to be finding more of these victories? How are they going to try to keep improving here? And it is absolutely going to be from the strength in their solo laners here. Haunter had an, kind of top lane type of split here this past season, and the way that Froggen has been talking about the way that he's been training and practicing, for this summer split heading up, the type of champions that he wants to be playing is some of those nice old Vygar type of games.
He doesn't abide by the meta.
Exactly, and that's what you want here from someone like Froggen here with the Golden Guardians roster. Again, I think that the more time that they all spend together, more time they're working together, more time that players like Froggen that had a little bit of time away from the LCS stage are in this type of environment, I think it's only going to get better as far as you look at the strengths for Golden Guardians.
And I think if the coaching staff and the rest of the players kind of hone in on contracts in that early game, because he likes to wander around and kind of get caught and get some unnecessary deaths. But when you have such dominant laners in Froggen and Haunter, these guys amass huge CS leads almost on their own, because a lot of the time contracts isn't even helping them. So if he can kind of just cool it a little bit in that early game, I think this team will be even better. But yeah, it's going to be all through those solo lanes. And you've seen a bunch of interviews with Ole. He's particularly inspired after Liquid's run at MSI. He wants another solid split on GGS.
Oh yeah, give me some more of that, and give me exactly this Golden Guardians roster trying to do it again, trying to get their revenge on the rest of the LCS teams that threw him aside, I'm all about it.
Yeah, and it's something you can look to when you bring back the exact same 5 players. You're just developing more chemistry. You know how slow they started in the spring split, 0-4. I don't see that happening again, and without that huge handicap, they probably have a good chance of finishing higher in the regular season standings. Coming up after the break, we're on to the top 3, and it's how can anyone really match Team Liquid? They're just the best. What is up, down, and sideways? We're back. League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys on to the top 3 for power rankings ahead of the summer split in the LCS. And you can probably guess it's hard to argue against which 3 teams will be in the top 3, but the order is something that you can at least debate a little bit.
Of course you got to be able to debate these type of things. That's what it's all about, baby.
That's what it's all about. That's why we're here, to debate about things. And in that top 3, you got to start with Cloud9. I mean, at times throughout the split, they looked like the best team behind TSM, or behind Team Liquid, excuse me. But TSM, the run they had at the end, they were really the only team that could consistently beat Team Liquid. And if not for a handful of misplays, we're probably talking about their performance at MSI and how they were unable to get out of groups. Because that's probably how it would have went if they went there. But yeah, I mean, Cloud9, we saw this 7-man roster a lot less here. It was mostly Svenskeren and Niski the majority of the games, and I think it's going to be more of the same here in that summer split. But one guy you cannot be disappointed with how he played was Niski.
No, you cannot be disappointed with the way that Niski was able to perform. I think this was certainly something that a lot of Cloud9 fans had been nervous about here heading into the split, and the idea of losing someone of the stature of Jensen, the performances that he'd been able to deliver time and time again for the Cloud9 fans was something that they thought, I don't know if exactly you can just go in and, snatch up another EU mid laner and find that type of success.
Apparently you can.
It seems pretty darn close, because I can tell you it wasn't exactly the performances that Jensen would deliver, but Niski delivered his own style of performance here with Cloud9 that was successful for them in a lot of aspects here. And I really think that, hey, if you're heading into this split as a Cloud9 fan, you have to have some confidence here and some higher expectations, given that you can feel confident in your mid laner and the performance that you're going to be getting. So you must be looking at the rest of your roster and going, hey, I know these guys. I know the performance that I can count on from them. We should be pushing for higher and better things.
Yeah, and Niski obviously doesn't necessarily have as much of the carry responsibility as some of the other mid laners, with someone like Licorice, and we know Sneaky has been able to play a lot of these carry champions throughout his career, so he's got a different role on this C9 squad. And until we get proven otherwise here in the summer split, I think there's a clear discrepancy between the top 3 and the other 7 teams in the LCS, and it just so happens Cloud9 comes in at the bottom of those top 3.
Right, you got to remember here, Cloud9 at number 3 will be the last of the 3 teams that NA will be sending here to Rift Rivals to represent us here, and I think that is type of the point that, yes, of course, the G2 stomp, we can get to that in a little bit, but we can talk about here the strength that North America is bringing in the top 3 teams here, of course, with Cloud9, TSM, and TL.
Yeah, I think both EU and NA bring in their best 3 teams, without a doubt. Number 2 is the team that was oh so close, as we said, to representing at MSI. They reverse swept Cloud9 themselves, 2-0 Liquid in the regular season. It's TSM, and we know based on their announcement that it will be Grig and Acadian starting in the LCS, which means we'll probably actually be seeing Grig back on the stage here at some point. Who knows how much time they'll actually split. But, I mean, Acadian played so well in spring, even when Grig was healthy, there was no real reason to sub him out.
That is the big takeaway here. I feel like when you're looking at this roster, Acadian absolutely played himself into a conversation for the starting role here in the summer split with Grig against Grig, in TSM. I think that this jungler spot here, what Acadian was able to provide, the aggressiveness that they needed here, the way that he was able to absorb the information from the likes of Bjergsen and Smoothie was a really great factor in his development in performance this split. And when you're looking at splitting time here between the 2 of them, I'm not exactly sure, and TSM isn't exactly sure yet, on how they're going to want to be dividing up the priority on who's going to be in which type of situations they want. But I fully am of the opinion right now that I think Acadian is the best option for TSM moving forward, but I do think that Grig can offer some nice positives for this roster and for the team and organization as a whole in the summer split.
Yeah, and we saw Grig behind the scenes through a lot of their run in the summer split, or spring split, excuse me. And obviously, TSM Academy won the Academy Midseason Invitational. So Grig had a solid performance there. And we've seen how vocal he can be and what he brings communication-wise to TSM. So if that ever becomes an issue that the organization thinks they have, Grig will be subbing in to that spot. And obviously, the performance of Broken Blade, by the way, carrying over to summer. What an incredible debut split in the LCS for him. He really stepped up, and don't see why he won't do it again.
Hey, BB was a major star here, emerging here for TSM in the top side, doing what Licorice did last year for C9, coming right in, establishing himself as one of these threats in the top side in North America. And of course, that's all going without even mentioning the veterans in Bjergsen, Sven, and Smoothie in the bottom side. And hey, Sven, he knows that he made that mistake in the finals, boys, and he is hungry to make it up for the rest of the TSM fans. You better be watching out for him in the summer split.
It has been great to see him fully, embracing TSM, the TSM lifestyle, and he loves to be a part of this team. He will definitely be looking for some redemption, and just like that, we're on to number 1. I can't believe it. Can you believe we put Team Liquid at number 1, Mark? If there's any argument against it, there's not. There is no argument. You are incorrect. Liquid, clearly the best team in North America. They've won 3 times in a row, and really all it does is prove that right now, EU's a lot better than NA because they got dumpstered in the final.
I think even if 100 Thieves found a way to pull off the upset against IG, they'd find themselves at number 1 here, because that's the type of power that Team Liquid is bringing to this conversation. Doesn't matter what you did in North America, the type of dominance that you were able to have, winning the championship. I don't care about that. That's not why you're number 1 right now. Number 1 is based off of the performance at MSI here, given what Team Liquid was able to do. Yes, they got absolutely stomped, dismantled, destroyed in the finals by G2. EU is the best region right now. Sure, you can have that. But when you look at the performance of TL and what they were able to accomplish at MSI, absolutely is something that North America should be proud about as a region, should be looked at as success and progress for them here. And when you look at Team Liquid, a team that we had been long talking about, built to be the best representative from North America, they did deliver on that title.
And I could maybe see if TSM plays at the level that they were at the end of spring, they could maybe match Team Liquid. I mean, you saw they're capable of beating them in a best of 5 if they play properly. But I mean, until someone knocks them off their throne, they're the team to beat. They're the best in NA. I expect them to have another solid split. They've got to be rolling on extra confidence, even though the finals at MSI didn't go their way. The fact that they took down the world champions, I'd be scared if I was the rest of North America.
Right, and when you're looking at Team Liquid and you're trying to think about ways that some of these kind of, anywhere from maybe rank 6 and up here in our list, how are they going to find ways to get a victory against Team Liquid? You can see a couple of paths maybe happening here, but I think for the most part, you have to be looking at Team Liquid as the team to beat consistently here, consistently the one that you would be trying to pick in those matchups, no matter what the improvements are here. Team Liquid still is the final boss for North America, claiming the number 1 spot in the power rankings.
Yeah, and we've even seen, slumps in the regular season. They closed out spring well after they had clinched first place. They drop a few games. Oh my God, Panic Central! They're going to completely blow it. They destroy FlyQuest 3-0 and then reverse sweep TSM in the finals. So unless it's playoffs, you don't need to worry about Team Liquid. But that's it for Power Rankings. Eric and Mark here with you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.